Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Hope your week is off to a good start. And I thought that with some recent roster churn, as well as some upcoming mini camps that are going to be somewhat illuminating for these players, now would be a good time to revisit the roster as it stands right now and where it could end up by the end of the offseason. So, the Seahawks currently have a 90-man roster for the offseason portion. Now, we only have 89 players. Currently have an open roster spot. Don't know if we're going to do anything with it. We don't have to. We could just go forward with 89, but generally teams try to use every asset available to them. So, probably going to pick somebody up in the near future. Probably not going to be somebody who's a big name or anything like that. I don't think we're going to bring in Shelby Harris or somebody like that at this point. But either way, we're here on June 5th. We've got a mandatory mini camp this week, and we're going to learn some stuff about these players. We're going to learn, hey, this guy's actually making a run for a roster spot. This guy's making a run for a practice squad spot. Oh, this guy's fallen off. He might end up on the cut list, surprisingly, etc., etc. So before we start getting into all that stuff, we already have some of it, right? We already have some of the stuff from the rookie minicamp and the initial OTAs. But I thought it'd be fun. Thought it'd be a good idea to take a look at where we stand on the 90-man. Field Goals posted an article yesterday summing up where we currently stand with the 90-man roster, which, I mean, it's hard to keep track of because it seems like every few days we're releasing somebody else. Every few days somebody else is getting brought on. So the back end of the roster often gets lost because we're constantly letting people go and bringing new people in. So this article does a really good job of summing up where we stand as of today, June. Well, the article was posted June the 4th, but I don't think anything's happened since, in the 26 hours since this article got posted. So all the information on that Field Goals article is here. I just put it in spreadsheet form, so it's a little more just the names listed by position. And you'd like to keep a running roster check throughout the season, so I figured I'd just go ahead and throw all this into a spreadsheet. As you can see, we've got 53 roster spots filled here. They're the 53 guys I'm guessing as of right now will make the 53-man. And then you've got 16 practice squad spots, which I do believe is the current cap. And then you've got 18 cuts. You've got two guys who I believe will start the season on the PUP at best. And that gets you to the 89 total. So that's everyone. So this is my current guess on how things pan out. We'll go ahead and go over it in this video just for kicks. And we'll see how close I end up getting. Obviously, there's way too much information out there that we don't know about. We don't know who's going to really impress people in the mini camps. We don't know who's going to really impress people in the preseason. These are things that are going to influence these choices dramatically. But here's my guess as of right now. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit as we go through each position, and I'll talk about what needs to be talked about. Quarterback is Geno Smith and Drew Lock. Holton Ahlers is the current placeholder on the practice squad, although I will say I don't think he makes the practice squad. I think he gets cut and we bring in another third quarterback, like a Sean Mannion type makes sense to me, an Austin Davis type, somebody like that, somebody who's not a real NFL quarterback, but he has a little modicum of reliability to him. Like if he has to play in a game, you don't feel like it's a complete disaster. Like you want somebody who you feel like can at least like call plays and hand the ball off, right? So I don't think it's going to be Holton. I think Holton's going to get cut, and we're going to bring in somebody. I don't know who, but it's going to be probably somebody with a really weak arm who's got a good mind and is probably a few years away from being a coach in the NFL. But I do think we'll have that third quarterback, whoever it is. Running back, K9, Charbonnet, McIntosh, and Dallas. I think that's a pretty cut and dry situation there we've got with the top four running backs on this team. Kobach is a guy we picked up from the, I believe, Vikings a few weeks ago. And I have him as a placeholder on the practice squad as well. Again, I don't know if we're going to maybe bring in another running back from the UDFA group or the just some, like we brought in a couple of former Huskies and had them practice with us a little bit at the rookie minicamp. It could be somebody like that we pull in. I don't know if it's going to be actually Kobach, but right now he's the only running back on the 90-man outside of this top four. So I just have him here as a placeholder. The running backs we brought in during the UDFA period, Marcus Smith and the other one, I think it was Ward, they're both already gone, so they're not even going to be on the cuts list right now. They already got cut. So I imagine we're going to have a running back on the practice squad. I'm not convinced it's Kobach, but maybe. Fullback is Nick Belor, and we actually have one fullback who I currently have on the cut list, although there may be a little bit of a vested interest in keeping this guy around. It's Hebert, Griffin Hebert, the hyper-athletic, extremely intriguing fullback talent we have, who actually played tight end in college, but figures to be a fullback in the NFL. Wouldn't shock me if we decided to make room for him on the practice squad, because Belora's getting old, and it's easy to imagine us moving on from him as early as next year, and Hebert's really interesting. All right, a wide receiver, Metcalf, Lockett, and Ajigba is a pretty obvious one. And then it gets kind of tough at 4 and 5. I have Matt Landers and Derek Young. And by the way, if you're wondering about the colors, orange just basically means they belong on the roster, but you can't expect a lot from them. They're just kind of special team role with a little bit extra maybe, which is how I feel about guys like Belor and Derek Young. Yellow is, it's a little dubious if they belong on a 53-man roster or not, but it's the best we have. And red is, this guy probably shouldn't be on a 53-man, but we have no other choice right now. But I see that shaking out. Landers is kind of the wild card. I just like him more than anybody else we could put out there. You got Cade Johnson, Bobo, and Cody Thompson on the practice squad. Cade and Cody, to me, are kind of like they're kind of like your practice squad stalwarts, kind of like how Aaron Fuller was on our practice squad for a long time. And Bobo's got some interesting stuff, which means we're going to cut quite a few receivers. Dwayne Eskridge is obviously the big one. I know they're trying to hype him up a little bit in camp, but I just don't see it, and I don't see room for him anymore. Like, what's the point? Isn't Matt Landers way more interesting a prospect than Dwayne Eskridge at this point? Who would you rather see make the 53-man? Who do you think has a better chance of being a meaningful NFL player at this point? That's what I thought. Aesop Winston, the other C. Johnson, who is C.J. Johnson, and Tyron Lindsley and Jay Hall also all getting cut. So that's my prediction for it right now. Tight end is pretty cut and dry, I think. You got Noah Fant, Will Dissly, Colby Parkinson, Tyler Mabry on the practice squad. Although, don't be surprised if Mabry finally kind of loses his hold on the tight end 4 spot. He's been our practice squad tight end for a little while now. Don't be shocked if Noah Gindorf steals it from him, because Gindorf has some really good potential. Like, there's actually something special there potentially with Gindorf. I don't think you can say that about Mabry. So, he's got a shot, but given the fact that guys like Dissly have struggled to stay healthy, Parkinson hasn't exactly been Iron Man either in his NFL career, I think we want the stability of somebody like Mabry who has played in the NFL before effectively. Offensive line, left tackle, Cross and Forsyth, pretty clear cut there. I think McKenzie's going to make the practice squad as a tackle, even though he's mostly been a guard. I think he has a little bit of tackle upside, and we need a tackle practice squatter. Left guard, Damian Lewis, Greg Island, and then you've got Randolph from Alabama making the practice squad. Kind of like him. And then center, you get to Evan Brown, Oluwatimi, and then Joey Hunt making the cut list, please. And then I don't really have too much going on behind the top 2 at right guard and right tackle, so everything on the offensive line pretty predictable. Haynes, Bradford, Lucas, Curhan, kind of a slam dunk there pretty much. Maybe Bradford takes Haynes' spot, but the thing with Bradford is he doesn't have a lot of experience, so I'm not convinced about that yet. And that's your offense. That's how I see things breaking out for the roster, practice squad, and cut list for the offense. Defense, let's do the same thing. Left defensive end, Draymond Jones, Mike Morris backing him up, and then Miles Adams as like your third string, or if you prefer to look at it this way, fifth string defensive end. And then you've got Jaron Reed and Mario Edwards over on the right side. So basically, Jones and Reed are starting, Morris and Edwards are backing up, and Adams is picking up whatever snaps are left. And I don't believe there's anybody on the roster right now at those positions who's going to make the practice squad or the cut list, unless you consider Tavai to be a defensive end, which, I mean, I don't really know what's going on there. We keep listing him at nose tackle, but there's no way he's going to be able to play nose tackle in the NFL. He's like 295. So I don't know. Maybe. It doesn't really matter either way. Either he's on the team or he's not. And if he can't hack it at nose tackle, we're obviously, we would move him, right? Especially if he can't hack it because he's too small. So pretty clear cut there. Nose tackle, I've got Cameron Young starting, Jonah Tavai backing him up, quote unquote, and then Faolu, a nose tackle who's kind of been hanging around the team as we've swapped some guys in and out, like Robert Cooper. And there were a couple other nose tackles that had a cup of coffee here and then moved on. So we like something there, I guess. And we also, way at the back here, have Brian Monet on the injured list. Finally got brought up a little bit the other day. So maybe he gets back a little sooner than expected. If so, I imagine he takes the Tavai spot. Tavai bumps over to the practice squad, and then Faolu becomes a cut. But this whole thing's a little bit confusing right now because, again, Tavai's not even 300 pounds. Okay, edge, or outside linebacker if you prefer in this defense. You've got Nwosu, Taylor backing him up, and Alton Robinson. You got Mafe and Derek Hall at the other side. Or if you prefer to look at it like Nwosu and Mafe are starting, Taylor and Hall are backing up, and Alton Robinson's like your cleanup guy, then that's how I see the 53-man breaking out. I have Tyreek Smith making the practice squad, although maybe you just want to completely cut the cord there. I don't know, but I don't see much there. I'm not a big fan of his anyway, and I just don't see room for him on the 53-man. And then I have MJ Anderson as one of our cuts over here. And that's about all that's going on the edge list. Onugiogu's technically an edge, but I have him listed at middle. And that's because our middle linebacker spot is a little bit weak. You've got Wagner and Bush. That's fine. I got no beef with that. But then you got Radigan, who really shouldn't be getting serious reps as a defensive player, in my estimation. And this year he probably will. Maybe not a ton, but some. I don't think Wagner and Bush are going to play every snap for you. And then you've got Vi Jones, who, I mean, I understand that the team likes him somewhat, but as of right now, starting the season with him on the 53-man feels uncomfortable for sure. And then you got Onugiogu as one of your practice squad linebackers, and he has outside-inside versatility, I guess, so that's nice. Patrick O'Connell is actually somebody who kind of caught my attention as I was trying to look at our UDFA linebackers, so I put him on the practice squad list. And Cam Bright, the former Husky, ends up getting cut. And Jordan Brooks is lingering here as a possible, and I want to stress that word because I really don't think it's going to happen. I just don't. I can't imagine him starting the season healthy. But obviously, if Brooks comes into the picture, then you bump Radigan down, you bump V. Jones to the practice squad, and you probably end up cutting O'Connell. That would be my guess anyway. Cornerback, you got Woolen and Witherspoon starting with Trey Brown and Mike Jackson backing them up. And then you've got Boykin and Archon Bush as your practice squatters. I talked myself into Archon Bush being a practice squatter. And then you've got Artie Burns, Braswell, Dunn, and Campbell all ending up cut. I think most of these are kind of a no-brainer, especially Burns. He's there for the offseason. There's no way we're actually planning on carrying him. And there's no way somebody of his age and experience level is going to want to be on the practice squad. But, yeah, I think that's a pretty reasonable expectation. A slot cornerback, you've got Julian Love and then Kobe Bryant backing him up. Obviously, Julian Love is also being looked at as a safety. Kobe Bryant might be looked as an outside corner as well, so we have that flexibility, but people got to get listed somewhere. Franklin ends up on the cut list. No nickel corner on the practice squad. And then you get down to safety. Adams, Diggs, Reed make the roster. Jarek Reed II. Sutherland I have on the practice squad for his special teams chops. Joey Blunt, hopefully he gets down to the practice squad because I still kind of like him. And then Okada, Osling III, Young end up on the cut list. And then you have your special teamers, Myers, Dixon, Stoll. That's all pretty... I don't... As of right now, there's no competition for those three guys. Maybe Stoll picks up competition at some point. But that's how I see it breaking out now. And that's where I see our 90-man roster currently sitting. Let me know what you guys think down below. See you guys later. Go Hawks.